social media is quite a bit worse than you think it is. Now, recently I started a little um, sort of content consumption detox, I guess you could call it, where I'm really not spending really any time on social media other than, of course, making videos like this. And I also haven't done that in a while. But hey, here we are. Yeah, so recently, actually, when I say recently, I mean literally yesterday. Yesterday, I quit all social media, right? I stopped consuming any real content. I stopped watching YouTube videos, anything like that. And I'll tell you what, it has actually, you can tell the difference, right? And with me doing that, it's actually made me realize how much like time there is in the day, right? Literally, like for a long time, I would just kind of like be kind of bored, get on my phone, start scrolling on YouTube, watch some videos, right? And then next thing I know, 2 hours is gone, and my entire afternoon's ruined, right? But now that it's the school year and I'm a lot more busy, and it's very hard to get all this stuff I need to get done, especially with the gym and other self improvement habits. I have a lot more time constraint than I did during the summer, and because I started this social media detox, whatever you want to call it, I've realized how much consuming content, entertainment can really have an effect on you. And with that being said, today I kind of fell off the bandwagon a little bit. Even though it's literally day 2 of my like social media detox, I'm already kind of slipping up a little bit because I was listening to music, right? And I was just kind of scrolling through music. And I ended up scrolling on YouTube a little bit. I didn't watch really any videos, but I did scroll and I did click, and I almost started watching videos. And I started, clicking on music videos and coping, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just listening to music. It's no harm in that. I'm not consuming content. I'm just listening to music." And I ended up watching music videos, and it ended up being a, I guess, relapse or whatever you want to call it on my social media detox. And what that made me realize is just how much of an effect that scrolling really has on you, right? When you don't notice it until you actually take it out of your life, right? It's not just that, yes, you have more time in the day, like I said previously, but the quality of that time becomes better. Like if you're trying to work, if you're trying to concentrate and focus on a task and think of things to do and get things done, it's going to be 100 times easier to get everything done that you want to get done if you don't consume any content that day. Now, I didn't say, don't consume as much content. I said don't consume any social media that day. Now, it's obviously watching educational videos and learning and becoming a better version of yourself. That's not a part of that. But when it comes to just kind of scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through whatever people scroll, like Twitter, reading stuff, Reddit, kind of, being like an internet nerd junkie, whatever you want to call it, doing stuff like that will actually negatively impact your day because it fogs your mind, right? Our human brain is only meant to process so much information, right? That's basically the point of our brain, is to process information and to help us make decisions, right? It's to give us information to think, right? And when we are constantly bombarding our minds with information, which is exactly what we do when we consume anything on the internet, because the internet and social media platforms and really any media is formatted so differently than how our human brains are meant to process information, right? Think about this. If you wake up in the morning and first thing you do is grab your phone and you start scrolling, then sure, like, you may cope and say, yeah, but I'm just checking in on the world and seeing what happened, looking at the news, watching the news, bro, all that kind of stuff, right? When you do that, you're basically, it's like our human mind really, okay, let me backtrack a little bit. Our human brain has barely changed since the dawn of humanity, right? It hasn't had to evolve much since the caveman times because human civilization has only been around for about 10,000 years. And humanity has been around for about almost, I think it's like 200,000 years. I could be wrong. That's a long time without any form of media, right? It's a long time of us just going ooga booga and living in the woods, right? That's a very long period of time of human history that in which our brains were evolved to process information in a very specific way, which is the process of how anything processes information in the natural world, right? Everything is very slow, everything's very monotonous, everything's very calm, peaceful, right? There's a reason that a lot of people talk about when they're in the woods, when they're in nature, they instantly feel more calm because we are putting our processing the information exactly the way that our ancestors did, exactly what our mind evolved to do. We are, instead of bombarding our mind with information, we are putting ourselves exactly in the position that our brain evolved to be in the position of, right? And what does this mean for social media? When you say get up first thing in the morning, you start scrolling, even if it's only for 5 minutes, chances are you literally have seen more faces, more people, right? Because when our brain sees a picture of a person, it really doesn't know if that's a real, like, our brain can't tell that's not seeing a person. Our brain assumes that it's actually seeing a real person face to face right now in the present with you, and doesn't know that you're just seeing a picture of a person, right? And so when our brain sees that and recognizes it's a human being, and then you're reading information about them, you're watching videos, listening to people talk, and a lot of people do all this before you even get out of bed. Chances are, if you're the kind of person who wakes up and starts scrolling, you have literally seen 20 people before you've even moved, or before you've even gotten out of bed, right? To our caveman brain, you have just woken up in your hut, and 20 people have all barged in your house and have started talking to you, right? That would never happen in the real world, right? Unless there's some emergency, right? That would never happen. Our mind is not meant to do that, right? We're constantly bombarded with information, and we're constantly having to process and think about that information, store it in our memory, and understand what's going on. And then we also have to focus on whatever you have to focus on, right? You also have to focus on, reading, right? We're forcing our brain to do so much more than it was ever designed to do. And I never really noticed it too much until I quit watching YouTube videos and I quit consuming very much content, in which I realized that on days that I don't consume any content, right, my mind is so much clearer, so much sharper. Like, instead of me getting that normal afternoon kind of fatigue, right, where I'm not very energetic, I'm kind of tired and kind of bored, and I just kind of want to sit on the couch and watch TV, instead of getting that, I'm getting, okay, I'm done with my homework, now what can I do? Oh, I gotta study for this test and figure out, I'll just do that now, I'll just get that out of the way. I'll make this video, I'll just get that out of the way, I'll get that done, right? I'm literally becoming more productive, more in tuned with what am I trying to say? I have more energy, I have more drive, I have more motivation than I really ever have. It's like I'm on caffeine 24/7, except for when I'm going to bed, right? It's like, it's incredible. All because I'm not consuming content, all because I'm not overloading my mind with tons of dopamine hits, tons of, I'm treating my brain as if it's still, as if I'm still a caveman, right? I'm treating my mind is processing information the way it was evolved to process information, which naturally is going to make it more efficient, naturally is going to make it more effective, right? Of course, there's no such thing as, snap your fingers, don't watch any content, quit social media, you're going to become 10 times smarter. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not 10 times smarter. I just have way more focus because I'm able to be more in the present moment, because I'm not constantly thinking about, oh, what about this thing? What about this random memory? What about this thing that happened earlier? I'm now able to focus on the here and now. I'm able to dedicate my mind fully to what I'm doing in the moment. And that is one of the most powerful things you can possibly do in your life. That's all I got for today. God bless you, and stay wild.